good afternoon. My name is Francois Nordia, and I am a super teacher, and this is the very first ever episode of Super Tea Time. So I hope you all have got your beverage to drink. I've got my rooibos tea in my super teacher mug, ready to spend the afternoon with you. We've got 45 minutes, and let me explain to you a little bit where the idea of this came from. The plan is to do regular hangouts with the teachers from my WhatsApp community, where we just discuss the current issues in education. More importantly, that we get the time to answer your questions. And I think that's quite important, especially when things are uncertain. It's important for us to get to know the tips and tricks and the things that other teachers are doing that's really assisting them in coping with the challenging time that we are in, but more importantly, that we can thrive through everything that we do. So thank you very much. If you'd like to be part of the conversation and get early access to these events and to these types of chats, be sure to be part of the WhatsApp service. You'll see throughout there is a number that will pop up soon. If you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, you'll be able to see all of the social media handles. You can see there's our WhatsApp number, +27 63 681 16410. Let me repeat that, +27 63 681 16410. If you join us on the WhatsApp group, well, it's not a WhatsApp group, it's a WhatsApp service where you can send through any questions or any queries, and I will respond to you as soon as I possibly can. But that's also the platform I'm going to use to ask you to send me questions, so that during the teach time that we can have a discussion and answer questions like that. So for everybody that's joining in live, thank you very much. We've got 22 people in the audience, which is way more than I ever expected. So thank you very much to everybody that is here. I'm going to mute everybody just to ensure that our audio quality is good and we save on some bandwidth throughout. Well, what I'd like you to do, if you've got any questions, would you mind just please popping that for me in the chat? Because in chat I'd be able to see what the questions are. If you'd like to come on stage, and otherwise, in other words, opening up your camera to be with me on stage, then you just let me know that in the chat as well. Or if you just want to ask your question and not necessarily have your face shown, but ask it audio in an audio version, you're more than welcome to do that. Just let me know, because I know a lot of people aren't comfortable with coming on screen, and that's fine. I mean, we're in lockdown. We're all teaching in our pajamas. I hope not. Well, at least from the waist down, we're teaching in our pajamas. But you're more than welcome to come on stage with me when we ask or answer your question. So in the chat, please pop me the questions that you do have. But to get us started, I did ask the WhatsApp community to send me some questions, and I've got it open in front of me. Let me just put in the password. So I've got it open in front of me, and I'd like to answer some of the questions now until I get the opportunity to see what you say in chat. Of course, you don't also always just have to ask questions in chat. You can participate in the discussion on chat, because that'll also be great. But the first question I'd like to answer that came through on the WhatsApp service is from Leonie, and Leonie said this tongue-in-cheek, but she also threatened me and said I should answer her question. But it's quite cool. I think it's something we're all resonating with. The question is, when is lockdown going to end, and when can I buy wine again? And I think that's such a very important question to ask during this time. I mean, if they expect of us to teach online and take on all of this responsibility to teach online, why do they take away wine? You can't do that. The two things that teachers absolutely love is their coffee and their wine. So please don't take our coffee away also, or at least your tea. Good afternoon, drinking your tea. But it's such a good question. If you're putting us under so much stress and wanting us to teach online, I mean, give us the wine that's going to make us cope with it. I agree, Annalie. That's two very Very important questions. With regards to when is lockdown going to end, who knows? I did see a report just before we started the live from News 24 that the president will be addressing us tonight. So let's hold thumbs. Let's hear what he has to say. Of course, that'll inform what the Minister of Education is going to say on Thursday. So we're all waiting for that. Yeah, thank you, Ronald. Yes, the president will be addressing us tonight. I'm very excited to hear what he's got to say. Maybe we'll move to level 3 lockdown. Maybe we're moving back to level 5, or we're staying on level 4. Tell me in the comments, what's your prediction for what the president is going to say tonight? So that's going to be interesting. But Leonie, I agree with you. We would all really like to know when we're going back to school, but more importantly, when are we going to get our wine? So yeah, Leonie, I did answer your question. But let's get serious for a while I'm waiting for your questions to come through on chat. I did spend, I had a call this morning from one of the teachers on the WhatsApp group. Now, just to let you know that the type of work that I do is I do one-on-one coaching with teachers. And then sometimes my clients would reach out to me when they're going through something stressful or they need advice. But this morning I received a WhatsApp voice note from using the service. I've got a WhatsApp voice note from one of my clients, and she just said, you need to help me. I'm feeling despondent. I'm feeling demotivated because the parents are just, they're all over the place. We don't know what to expect. On the one hand, the parents are expecting of us to do a lot. They want us to just keep on pushing content and teaching and teaching and teaching because they are paying money and they want to get their money's worth. So that's on the one side. So that's putting a lot of pressure and a lot of anxiety on teachers. On the other hand, what's happening is some parents are saying, whoa, this is too much. You are giving us way too much work to do. We're not teachers. We don't know how to teach math or art or geography. Yet we are here feeling helpless and we need to support the kids. Yet we don't know how. And this is so overwhelming. Can you please just stop sending more work? Our kids are not coping. We're not coping. And here's the teacher right in the middle, not knowing what to do. And the specific individual that spoke to me this morning said, I'm taking this personally and I can't do it differently. It's so taxing on me and my mental health because these parents are putting pressure from two different angles. The school is putting pressure from one specific angle. What should I do? And it's very interesting. I thought, wow, imagine the conundrum that we're currently facing ourselves in. So maybe in the chat, if you're experiencing something like this, please let us know. And also if you've got advice, that would be great to share. But basically, my advice to this teacher was, number one, I understand that you're taking it personally. I mean, how else? I mean, you just can't. We're teachers. We take things personally. We're human. We take things personally. But one way that I've learned how to cope with this is having immense empathy for the person on the other side, for the parents especially. Now, I'm not saying, oh, shame the parents. What I'm saying is let's try and think what these parents are currently going through and how difficult it is for them. Let's say, for instance, you are a parent and you promised yourself and your family and your kids, you're going to give them the best possible education that you can give them. Let's say you've stretched yourself and you put your kid in a private school because you believe that a private school education will be the best education for your kid. And now with the economic pressure that lockdown is bringing, this is creating anxiety on the parents' side. Like, imagine what's running through their heads. They're saying things like, you know what's going to happen if I don't earn enough money to keep my kid in a private school? Imagine the embarrassment that I would go through if I have to admit that I don't have enough money to keep my kid in a private school and now I have to move my child to a public school. There's a lot of these insecurities going around. And that's probably where a lot of the reaction towards teachers are coming from. Maybe on the other side, parents that are feeling helpless, maybe they don't have a good education. Maybe they don't know the best methods of teaching and supporting their own kids. Maybe they've got 2 or 3 kids in that same household that needs to use one device. All of these type of challenges that these parents are going through. So if they are taking it out on the teacher, which is not right, I'm not saying there should be an excuse for why parents treat teachers in a specific manner. I mean, we should all be treating each other with respect. But we need to put ourselves in their shoes and just realize that there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of insecurities that's happening. And that's going to assist you in not taking it personally. And I think that's the reason why I went with that angle of advice, is we shouldn't be taking this personally. We should have this open communication and discourse with the parents saying, we are here to support. Let's have an open communication, open discussion. Tell us how we can assist each other. And then you, along with your principal and the SMT at the school, let's find ways in which we can make this work. I understand that it's difficult, but we are all in a new situation. This is new for everybody, and we need to find solutions together. So, okay, cool stuff. I'm seeing so many comments coming through. Let's see what is happening on chat. If my mouse can just play along with me, that would be great. Here we go. Okay, wow, so much coming through. Great stuff. Let's see what you say. A lot of you are thinking we're going to move to level 3. That would be great. That would be great. Hey, Sanita asking, any foundation phase or remedial teachers present, any suggestions for online teaching for foundation phase learners? So this is what I love about the super teacher community, is we've got 32 other teachers live at the moment, and you can assist each other. It's all about building a community of practice. This is the real community in action, and I'm so glad that you all could find the time to come together. So if you're in the chat and if you'd like to answer Sanita there, in supporting each other, please by all means share your details if you're welcome, or if you're feeling comfortable with sharing your details in an open forum like this. You're more than welcome to do so. But any suggestions for online teaching for foundation phase? What a crazy world it would be. Just think about trying to teach a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, trying to teach them, because we need to think about so many things when we design lessons for the different age groups or the different phases in schooling. When it comes to the foundation phase, we often forget that things like executive functions, the basics like inhibition, okay, inhibition, inhibitory control, is something that's still being developed when you're in the foundation phase. So expecting our foundation phase kids to do a lot of work, spending a lot of time in front of the screen, that's not ideal. So I would suggest, just from my side, if you're doing online teaching with little children, if you're doing videos, keep it shorter, include a lot of animation. If you've got props and puppets and things like that, include that in your lessons. But very short, don't make it long. We had a Twitter chat, was it 2 or 3 weeks ago, where we kept on asking the question, like, how are teachers coping with bandwidth? Do we have like good enough internet? And how can we preserve the bandwidth of the learners? And we shouldn't only be thinking of the digital bandwidth. We should also be thinking of the cognitive bandwidth of our children. How long can they concentrate? And we really need to think about things like that. So just, Sanita, from my side, that would be one suggestion, but I'm looking forward to seeing what's happening in chat with regards to these questions. Okay. By the way, please let me know if you'd like to come on camera and ask your question. That would be cool. You don't have to have your video on. We can just have your audio if that's something you're okay with. But if you want to put on the video, you're also welcome to do that. Hey, let's see some more questions here. Annalie, is it possible for, if you are paid by the department, that you will lose your job? Wondering about that. Let's talk about this. This is extremely important, and I think it's on everybody's mind. What's the retention of teachers going to be like? If you've, and remember, this is my opinion. This is just my opinion. I'd like to hear the other comments in the chat. But my opinion here is that if you have a government position, in other words, you're paid by the DBE, you would be safe for a while. The first jobs that are going to be cut, in my opinion, is going to be private schools, I'm already hearing so many stories of teachers being retrenched and schools closing down. I had a coaching call yesterday with one of my clients, and her school closed down. It's as simple as that. The owners of the school just said, the parents aren't paying school fees. It's no longer economically viable. So why should we keep our doors open? And I mean, that's a tragedy. That's an absolute tragedy. So I think our private school teachers, you guys are vulnerable. The school government body post, you are vulnerable, because if the parents stop paying school fees, that's one of the first places where the schools are going to cut posts. Now, please, I'm not saying, oh, everybody's going to lose their jobs. It's going to depend on the principals and how they manage their budgets. I think you're relatively safe, and I can't say that with a lot of confidence, but in comparison with your other colleagues, if you do have a departmental post, they can't just cut your job. But in the long run, we need to start thinking about what the economic fallout is going to have to be on the education system. And what's the pressures going to be like if we have more children coming in from the private school sector into the public school sector? What will that do to the amount of learners that you're going to teach? How will social distancing be implemented? And that's a lot of questions that we want the minister to answer on Thursday, and what the unions are asking us. So thank you for that question, Annelie. Very important. We'll have to wait and see. But here's my big piece of advice to everybody. You need to start bolstering yourself against the likelihood of being retrenched or losing your job. You need to diversify your income or find ways of earning more income than just your salary. If you're only dependent on your one salary, it's going to be tough if you lose your job. So diversify your streams of income, whether it be through investments if you can, or side hustles. There are so many teachers with side hustles. One of the teachers who I'm coaching currently, she's making face masks for the people in the community. We won't have enough face masks that's going to be supplied by the government. And also, who wants a bland old face mask? If you can make if somebody can make me a super teacher face mask, that would be amazing. That would be great. But think of things like this. And one way to ensure that you remain relevant and that you are I don't want to say insured of employment, but that gives you the likelihood of being employed, is to showcase your skills on social media. Start building a digital footprint of what you are capable of. Make sure that you record lessons and that you document what you're doing and putting that out on social media. You'll see what I'm going to do with today's teach time video is I'm going to put this onto Facebook. I'm going to put it onto YouTube, and it'll also go onto my podcast, because it showcases the community and it showcases the work that I do. So that assists me in future employment. Okay, so think about ways in which you can capture your own teaching and how you can put that on a pedestal, and how you can put that like you would have in traditional media, put it on a billboard or go and advertise on radio. That's what social media is. We need to get there. So Annelie, thanks for that. I want to go back to our WhatsApp community, the questions that I was asked there. I want to go to Pietru's question. I just want to find you, Pietru. I see you are in the chat as well. I don't know whether you asked the same question, but I'm going to have a look. So she asked a question in Afrikaans. I'm going to repeat it in Afrikaans, and then I'm going to repeat it in English. Wat doen ander onderwysers om te verseker dat leerders hulle werk inhandig? Ons gebruik Google Classroom en die kinders handig net nie hulle werk in nie. Dis 'n nagmerrie. So basically, what do other teachers do to ensure that kids actually submit their work? I'm looking forward to seeing what the chat has to say, but what do you do to ensure that kids actually submit work? Because there's this thing on Google Classroom where they can just click on like activity done, like it submit, without actually submitting the actual document that you want them to submit. And this is so different from actually submitting work in a face-to-face classroom. Why do you think will kids submit work? Are we threatening them with assessment? Like, oh, if you don't submit this, you're not going to get the marks. And there lies the major challenge for us. we are so in our curriculum and the way in which we are teaching, so driven by assessment, and we're looking at the end of the year exams instead of focusing on learning and developing learning activities that the kids actually want to do, that they find the relevance in. And I think that's a conversation we are not having. We are just willy-nilly creating worksheets, and here's a worksheet and complete the worksheet. If it's a boring worksheet, why would the kid want to complete it in the first place? Let's think of relevant assessment activities and assessment of learning, and not just assessing for the sake of assessment. I would, in this time with online learning, I would reduce the number of assessments greatly and go deeper with our assessment. Rather combine 2 or 3 subjects together in one assessment. Because this is, I really believe in this, because you're looking at, what's the word? Integrated learning. Maybe you and your colleagues, if you are a science teacher, you've got a colleague that's a math teacher and a colleague that is an English teacher. The 3 of you can find ways of combining your content in such a way that you cover, that the kids learn what you want them to learn in the 3 subjects, but they submit one activity. They submit one assessment, but you've got 3 separate rubrics. One that the math teacher is going to mark, one that the science teacher is going to mark, one that the English teacher is going to mark. That reduces the workload on the kid and the parents, but then also assists the teachers, because you still get to mark or assess the specific concepts that you want to assess. So that would be one of the answers. And the other thing then, Pietro, what I would suggest is, let's find out from those kids' parents. Let's contact those parents and just remind them, just say, well, this child has now not submitted 3 assignments in a row. Let's try and find out why. I know it's not always possible. It's difficult to find out or do these administrative types of tasks, but we need to communicate with parents or kids, because there could be so many reasons why kids don't submit tasks. It could be internet access, it could be connectivity, bandwidth issues, it could be many other social issues that we'll only find out once you're in conversation with the parents. So I'm sure, and I know, Pietro, from the work that you've been doing, that you guys have quite open communication with your parents. But I would strongly suggest, let's open up dialogue, and we get the answers from the parents, because now more than ever, that relationship between the parent, the child, and the teacher is extremely important. So thanks for that. Let's see. So many comments. Thank you so much. There's no way I can get through everybody and look at everybody's, but thank you so much. Let me see. We'll have to find a way in the chat so that you can get my attention, so that I know this is a question. So maybe if you ask a question, just put at Francois, then I'd be able to know that you're actually asking me a question and not just responding to the rest of the chat. I think on my feet, I quickly thought of a solution there. So if you ask me a question, just put at Francois, and I'll know that it's a question that you're asking me. Let's see in chat what we have. Natasha, I like this. We are currently running a competition where the best task will receive a 200 Rand prize. Now, I haven't read the rest of chat, so I can't take this out of context. But this is definitely a strategy. If you've got the means to do it, and you're incentivizing learners to submit great work, I mean, we love prizes. We absolutely do. Extrinsic motivation is definitely a thing, but we can't do this the whole time. It's unsustainable. You can't be running a competition the whole time and wanting kids to submit work. Now, remember, I'm taking this out of context, so I don't know what the rest of the conversation is about. I just thought, let me talk about this and just maybe lay my egg on this. We need to have intrinsic motivation. We have to develop this urge for learning, this absolute want for learning, and then the kids will submit work that they truly believe in. I know it's much easier said than done. I do know this. When we design our lessons and our activities, make sure that we consult the kids. Have we ever asked the kids what type of activities they want to do? Or are we just like top down telling them what assessments they need to do or what they need to learn? Are we having a discussion with the kids and listening and learning from them, and seeing how we can incorporate their wants and their interests? And I think that's something that's missing in our teaching, is we're not incorporating the interest of our learners in the task. So that might be a possible solution there. But when I saw that comment, I thought, let me quickly just pop that in. Okay, so let's go. Miss Ea van der Merwe, thank you for adding the @ that makes it much easier for me to identify the questions. So the question is, how do I keep my learners and your own grade 12 child motivated? If you can answer that question, you are going to make a lot of money. We couldn't even keep the grade 12 kids motivated in normal face-to-face learning. We see this, it's like a movie repeating itself year in and year out. The grade 12s, by the time it gets to May, June, I mean, they've lost all interest. They're so over school. They're looking forward. You're stuck in that like between a rock and a hard place. Like you really looking forward to your future. You're an adult, but you're still stuck in school, and in many cases still treated like a child. So it's a very difficult space for a grade 12 kid to be in. And the short answer to your question is there's no way, absolutely no way, that you can motivate anyone else. It doesn't happen. Motivation is intrinsic. It comes from self. If a person can't motivate themselves, they're not going to be motivated by somebody else. What we can do is continuously show them reasons for doing activities or explaining relevance. As soon as an individual has understood the relevance of an activity for their own life, then they start getting motivated. If we don't understand why we should do something, we're not going to do it. Or the likelihood that we're going to do it will be less, or you're going to do it under duress. You're going to feel forced to do it. And just ask yourself the question, if you are forced to do something, how much effort do you really put into that? I mean, this is a big conversation to have. So if a grade 12 learner isn't motivated, I mean, there's not much that we can do about it, unless we start having those individual conversations. I'm feeling this is the theme of today's discussion, is that we should start having those individual conversations with the individual learners and hearing from them what their hopes and dreams are and how we can achieve that and how we assist them in building the relevance or understanding why something is necessary. So how do you motivate somebody else? I'd say it starts with empathy. It starts by actually understanding what that individual is going through and then finding an angle to assist them. That's just the key. I think that's the unlock. Let's start having more empathy with each other, and then finding solutions from that. That's why people say teaching is a job. It can't be, man. Teaching is an art. And not just teaching your content because you're working with children. We've got all these different roles as educators, as teachers. We're not only deliverers of content. In actual fact, Google has taken that away from us. We're not really there to teach content anymore. We are those conduits of learning. Wow, we're getting poetic here. We are conduits of learning, and we're creating the environment that is sustainable for that child to learn. And we start seeing our role like that, then magic can start happening. So thank you for that, and absolutely my support for you there. We can of course brainstorm a few other ideas with those individuals, but that's why I say, like, teaching is an art. Every single day you're using the equipment to your disposal to create a work of art, to approach challenges in unique ways. And this is what teachers do. Well, this is what teachers are supposed to do. So good luck with that. I've got another question on WhatsApp. I just want to get to the question quickly. And by the way, thank you to everybody's response. After I sent out to this, because this morning I just said, let's do a hangout this afternoon. popped it onto onto the WhatsApp group, and people were just like, we're going to be there. We're looking forward to this. And also the collegiality and professionalism of some of the colleagues that just said, you know what, apologies, I won't be able to make it. I've got other school meetings and stuff like that. I was like, I didn't expect that, because this isn't a formal or a compulsory hangout. But thank you for your collegiality and professionalism. Let me quickly find that one. So the question was, I can't find it now, but I can remember the question. The question was, there's this teacher, the person has got a master's degree and has been retrenched. So please don't for one moment think that having a degree is going to keep you safe. It's not the way it is. But this person's got a master's degree, but the master's degree isn't in education. The person is still busy completing the PGCE and so forth. And the question was, can I start teaching online if I don't have a teaching degree? And that's a very complex question. If you attended our event that we had last week on online teaching, and I'll soon put it up on my website as well, for those that missed the webinar, I'm going to put it on my new website, and it's coming soon, but you can access it there. If you want to teach online, there are 3 options, and I've been repeating this on so many WhatsApp messages the past week. 3 options to teaching online if you would like to earn money teaching online in your personal capacity. The first one would be being employed by an online school. Now, if you apply to an online school, it's the same process, a CV, and you actually get employed by the school to teach online. Now, there you earn a salary. And in those cases, the teachers are required to have a teaching degree. I mean, it's the same as a typical school. You can apply and you can try and get through the process. And remember, these schools are typically international schools. So you're not only teaching to kids in South Africa. There are a few online schools now, but you'll have to apply and go through the same type of recruitment process. And in that instance, I would guess you need your teaching degree. But it depends on the school. So you'll really have to look at the website of the school you're applying to. All right, so that's the one. The second option, you can apply to be on one of the tutoring platforms or teaching platforms. Tanya did explain to us last week, I can't remember the one platform now, but there are platforms. These platforms have got a database of kids already, and they then choose to do their tutoring or get their lessons from you, and you get paid per session. There's pros and cons to this. Of course, the pro is that you don't have to do your own marketing. You do the administration is a bit less, but then they take a good cut of the income that comes your way. In some cases, they take, especially in the beginning, they take like 30% of the fee they take for themselves on the platform. Of course, because they built the platform, they host the platform, so that's your fee to pay there. And then the third option, if you want to teach online, is to create your own client base. And this is what I specialize in, and this is what I assist teachers in most of the time when I want to teach online, is how to build your own personal brand, how to use social media to grow your own client base of kids that you can teach. So those are the 3 options that exist. If you don't have a teaching degree, you can do the certificates, the TEFL certificate and the TESOL certificates and the TESOL certificate. You'd remember for those of you who attended the webinar, Tanya did say that the TESOL is probably the best option to go for, because then you can teach English basically in any country. So if you are looking to do online teaching, have a look at a TESOL course, TESOL, the TESOL course. And start applying. I think that's the most important thing. Part of the job that I do is I coach teachers. I assist them in finding recruitment and doing things like that, making yourself the best possible teacher. Because here's the problem. You can apply to be a teacher on a platform, but what's going to make you stand out from the other teachers? Because if they're in real life, in face-to-face or traditional teaching, if they are mediocre teachers, There are going to be mediocre teachers on online platforms also. And this is going to happen more regularly now. People have woken up, and online teaching is going to accelerate now. So you'll get some of the best teachers in the world teaching online. You'll get the worst teachers in the world teaching online. How do you differentiate yourself from other teachers and making yourself that super teacher that other people would want to get lessons from? Okay, cool. I can't believe how quickly time flies. I really can't. We've got 5 minutes left, even less. So let me have a look at our questions. Ronald, that's at Annelie at Francois. My worry is at school, every child is on the same playing field. Now they're in different surroundings. Yes. It's called the digital divide. Sorry. So the digital divide is growing. And this is one of my biggest criticisms of the education system, and the lack or the challenge we have is the fact that we've neglected education, and we've neglected infrastructure. We've neglected the poorest of poor for too long, and we are caught with our pants down. As soon as this lockdown hit and the virus hit, we have exposed the discrepancies, or we've exposed the incompetence of our education system, and it came back to bite us. Now we've got the private schools and your X-Model C schools, or some of them at least, or the schools with resources have almost seamlessly transitioned into online teaching. But the minister said 2 or 3 weeks ago, she said that there's, I think, 70% of households, of kids in the country don't have access to the internet. How are we going to teach them? There's no way we can teach them if it's not in a face-to-face modality. So if we are in the classroom, it's level playing field. I agree with you. Very true. And I think that's why the minister wants everybody to get back into the classroom. They said they're not going to do assessments on content that hasn't been covered in a face-to-face modality. And I understand that. But you need to know, unfortunately, because of this digital divide, we are going to create learners who've got access to education and who are going to gain a lot, where the people who don't have access are going to stay behind. And I don't have an answer for this. I truly don't have an answer for this. We can all contribute and do as much as we possibly can do, but at the end of the day, it's such a big problem that an individual like you and me won't make a major impact. We'll have to see government, and this is why we've got government. Government will have to step up to the plate and really come up with a plan. But our government, I mean, I don't want to make this a political discussion, but they've really neglected the poorest of the poor, and they've not given equality to all of our citizens. They've allowed external factors, foreigners, to come and raid our treasury. Imagine what all of that money could have done. Just imagine what all of the money that's been stolen from our country could have done during this time. So wow, I didn't want to end off our discussion with that whatsoever. So whoa, let's I absolutely love all of the comments and chat. We've got about a minute remaining, so I'll have to end off. I'm going to work through this and try and respond, but this shows me there's need for us to do more of this. Maybe in chat for the last 30 seconds, just tell me if you'd like us to continue with Super Teach time. And let's see where this goes and how this develops. But thank you very much to everybody that spent time with me. Apologies I couldn't get to your question, but we'll do this more regularly and ensure that we get your question answered. Otherwise, ask me your question on WhatsApp and let's see if I can't answer you there. Thank you so much. See you guys on the WhatsApp service. I'll communicate with you there. But until next time, I'm Francois Nordia and I am a super teacher. Enjoy your afternoon, everyone.